Hi guys, today we're going to begin a new project called the Typography project. Typography is a really important aspect of graphic design, and this will be just an introductory project where we're not going to talk too much about typography in graphic design, but we are going to use type, text, and fonts in this project. This is an example that I did of Martin Luther King Jr. And if I zoom in on it, you can see parts of his "I have a dream" speech showing through the pixel data of the image. All right, I want to show you a couple of other examples. Here is another one. This is my grandson Drake that I did a few years back. He's quite a bit older than that now. And in this instance, I just repeated his name over and over and over and over. And you could do something like that. And then my last example is Jelly Bean. And in this case, I didn't repeat just his name, but I wrote out things about him. So it's a little biography about Jelly Bean. So Jelly Bean, playful, funny, aloof, sweet, stubborn, spoiled, cuddly, on and on and on. Okay, and so I took some aspects of Jelly Bean, typed them out, and then I just copied and pasted it down. So whatever you want to do, when you're choosing your subject for this, it could be a pet, an animal, someone you know, it could be you, it could be like a self-portrait autobiography, it could be a famous person. And notice the difference between a black and white image and a color image. All right, so they all turn out nicely, and it's just whatever you're looking for. So I'm going to be in my tutorial showing you how to do the Jelly Bean. But I'll also show you how to import text from the internet if you're doing somebody famous. So with Martin Luther King Jr., the "I Have a Dream" speech is one of his most known and loved speeches, and so I chose to use that. If you chose somebody who was a musician, you could pull in lyrics from a song. People in the past have done characters from Harry Potter, and so they pulled excerpts from one of the books or just wrote things about Harry Potter that they liked. So really the choices are wide open here as far as who your subject is. To get started, you need to start a new document. Make sure you take care of this important step because a few of you have lost important project points because you don't do this, and you end up working on a random size of an image and a project, and that's never a good idea. You don't want to just pull an image off the internet and keep that as your project size because you have no purpose for that. Those are usually designed for web display, not for print. And remember, we in this class, for the most part, are working for print. Okay, so we're going to go to File, New to start our new document. And we want to make this, we're going to go to print because we want to make this 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5. So it just depends on if you want this to be portrait or landscape. And for my Jelly Bean image, I'm going to go landscape. So I want the width to be 11, the height to be 8.5. Resolution would be 300, and I want to make sure my color mode stays in RGB color. So if somebody has switched that, make sure you put that on RGB color or you will be unable to create some of the effects that we're going to be creating. I also want to name it at this point. So you want to type in your last name, then your first name, and we can call this typography. And create. Now, you may choose to do a portrait like Martin Luther King Jr. here. This is portrait, so this is 8.5 by 11. Before you set up your new document, maybe you want to go on the internet and find an image. That would be helpful knowing whether or not you're going to go landscape or portrait. The next thing you want to do is then get your image. So I'll just go ahead and I saved my Jelly Bean image into my folder. So I'm going to open that with Photoshop. And there he is before I turned him into a typography project. So I'm going to, there's two ways to move this, remember. So I'm going to do the Command A to select the entire image, Command C to copy it, and then going to my new project document, I'm going to do a paste, Command V. Okay, so this jelly bean image was bigger than 8.5 by 11. So if I zoom out a little, I'm going to need to do a transformation. So Command T, and the reason I zoomed out was so that I would be able to access these nodes down here. So you want to pull just a corner, holding Shift. And if I want to grab it and move it, I let go of Shift and accept it where I like it. Okay, so Command 0. So that's what I have so far. Before I leave, I'm going to rename my layer 1. I'll call this Jelly Bean because that makes sense for what's on the layer. And then I'm going to duplicate my Jelly Bean layer, and I'll have a Jelly Bean copy layer. And that's going to be it for today. So your work for today is to decide who your subject is, find an image for that subject, start a new document in letter size with a 300 ppi and keep it in RGB color mode, and then move your subject into your new document, name your subject layer, duplicate your subject layer, and the last thing we're going to do is File, Save. And since it's my first time saving, I'm going to do a Save As. I need to make sure I'm in my folder, and I'm going to add a 2 to this so I don't overwrite my other typography project, and save. Please let me know if you have any questions.